today we happen to have as our guest from Dallas, Texas, Manil Uppal, who is the founder of Delivery Solutions. And I met Manil about a year and a half ago at, remember those conferences where you used to meet face to face, Gary? You know those things.
I vaguely recall those.
I think it was one of those things. We met in the hallways and we had a nice chat. Plus, Manil happens to be from the same town that I am from, back in India. So that was like a double whammy there for us to connect. And I know he's got a co-founder as well, but they do some amazing things. And I thought we'll welcome Manil on the show here and have us tell us a little bit about his journey, his background, how he got here, how he founded Delivery Solutions. So Manil, welcome to the Retail Perch.
Well, thank you, folks. Thank you for having me. It's an honor. So appreciate you thinking of me. So like Shekar said, I'm one of the founders of Delivery Solutions. My other founder, Arshad Mirza, and I started Delivery Solutions around the 2017 timeframe as a solution to help retailers with everything e-commerce. In our worldview, e-commerce generates three types of orders, right? Whether it's grocery e-commerce or other retail, it's shipping orders, whether you're shipping from DCs or shipping from stores. It's of course same-day delivery, where the merchandise and the customer are in some relatively close proximity, right? And it's curbside and BOPIS. So we help on all of those three use cases, and we tie all of them together with a very deep post-purchase stack in terms of how you're communicating with the customer, fully white label, tracking maps, and we can kind of talk more about that. So that's kind of what we do. From a background standpoint, this is my second go around as an entrepreneur. Prior to this, Arshad and I, same co-founder, we founded a company called Lash Delivery in 2014, which was basically a B2C mobile e-commerce. It was an app on the phone where you could buy beer, wine, spirits, click, check out to your door, 60 minutes. So this was the early days when Drizzly was also getting formed and Minibar was getting formed, and we started that company here in Texas. The only difference between us and everybody else was back then we couldn't find anybody to deliver orders that came out of the app. So we were forced to be in the logistics business by having our own drivers deliver our own orders. And so we were full stack. We had mobile e-commerce, but we also had fulfillment drivers, delivery and stuff like that. And as we grew that business all over Texas, we found that, well, a lot of people need same-day delivery. So why don't we actually 3PL this to other people as well? Because our drivers can not only deliver our orders, but they can also deliver other people's orders, right? And so when DoorDash started doing this, for other retail, I mean, we had been doing this like monetizing delivery assets for other businesses, a long time ago. And true fact, being that this is grocery centric, one of our biggest customers was Instacart. So every alcohol order Instacart took in the state of Texas from retailers like Total Wine, HEB, Specs, was all delivered by Lash drivers. So anyways, so that's kind of where we got our teeth, in the delivery business, and the e-commerce business, fulfillment, same day, that kind of stuff. And then we were acquired around the 2017 timeframe by HEB, which is a big grocer here. And, for those who don't know, they're a behemoth, here in Texas, a $26 billion shop. Because when Amazon bought Whole Foods, HEB had to respond, with a same day capability for delivery. And basically they bought us and our technology and ops, and that's kind of what seeded HEB's, in-house grocery delivery segment. So that was that story. And we took all the lessons learned from there, right, Shekar, and started Delivery Solutions. One of the few lessons learned was B2C is hard. So we didn't ever want to do B2C again. So that's why Delivery Solutions are pure B2B play. The other lesson is delivery is hard, right? Doing deliveries, doing same day, the operations, the logistics, and hats off to all these companies that we partner with, right? Uber, DoorDash, Point Pickup, the Roadie, all of the great partners that we partner with. Hats off to them for doing such a great job in this. But we said we were done. We couldn't do it. It was hard. So that's why now we don't do our own deliveries as a delivery service provider, but we provide the software that retailers can use to offer delivery to their customers, right? So that's kind of our story, and that's kind of how delivery solutions kind of came to be, right?
Fascinating. So HEB acquired Lash to start their own same-day delivery service, and there were a bunch of learnings that you got from that. So tell us, what are some of the learnings that inspired delivery solutions?
So I can't go much into like what we did, at HEB to kind of scale this out and stuff like that.
Right.
But I think we saw very firsthand, and HEB is a very innovative company. I mean, we were just astounded, and the pace at which they move, the way they execute. There was an exec there back in the day. It was Paul Tafanot. It was just, for those who know him, hey, it was just fascinating. His leadership was just amazing over there, and the way they execute and move fast and iterate and things like that. So we kind of saw firsthand, what a retailer can do natively. If they really wanted to, get something done, especially, in our case, in the world of same-day delivery, for their customers. And basically, one of the big ideas was, well, we made a bet that there would be other people in the industry who would want to offer same-day delivery out of their native e-commerce. So back in the day, and I say back in the day, but like 7, 8 years ago, doesn't matter what vertical of retail you were in, if you wanted to provide same-day delivery, you had to sign up with the marketplace, right? If you were in regular retail, you had to go to somebody like an Amazon for that fast fulfillment, right? If you were in grocery, you had to go Shipt or Instacart. There was no other option, right? If you were a restaurant or a restaurant chain, gotta go DoorDash, Uber Eats, Marketplace, stuff like that. The bet we made 4 years ago was that eventually retailers, doesn't matter what segment you're in, are gonna want to also offer, last mile through their own native e-commerce property. So then we said, well, shouldn't there be a solution where they can consume and then harness the power of all of these delivery providers, that are coming up, and all of these companies, that we partner as well. So that's kind of how Delivery Solutions was born, as a middleware B2B SaaS API platform where, you make one connection to it as a retailer, whether you're a grocer or, we have great customers in grocery, like Giant Eagle, Loblaw, Wakefern, Lowe's Food, United Supermarkets, but also do other retail outside of grocery, right? GameStop, Michael's, Office Depot, Vineyard Wine, Sally Beauty. I mean, a lot of these brands that you know and love. But these, you make one connection, and then everything hangs at the back of the platform, right? Now, whether you're doing shipping, which is not a big deal in grocery, but outside of grocery it matters. Whether you're doing same-day delivery to your customers, whether you're trying to do curbside or BOPIS, and you need that two-way communication with the customer, you want to track when the customer's coming in, so you're ready with the order to make it a delightful experience, and that and all of that post-purchase associated with all of these channels. We wanted to give one solution, everything in the box, so that you can kind of get started very quickly. And the other bet that was made was that these delivery capabilities will open up. Instacart was only doing grocery delivery, and DoorDash was only doing food, and Uber was only doing like taxis. And we made a bet that these ecosystems will open up, and everybody's going to do everything. And offer this to other forms of delivery based on our experience too, because Lash was only delivering alcohol, and then we're like, why? Why don't we offer it? We predicted that, and that's kind of what is happening, right? You have DoorDash Drive, you have Uber Direct, you have all of these, and you have some companies who just do delivery and don't even have a marketplace front end. So I think some of those bets came to fruition, and the timing was good, hopefully, to where we had a solution that retailers could take advantage.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I mean, so you kind of saw the market evolving and getting to a point, and you built a solution betting on that journey of that market. That's, that's visionary, right? That's what makes an entrepreneur kind of see things that other people don't see as of now. So congratulations to you guys on that. And clearly, you've taken the lessons from what you learned in your past experience and said, hey, you can extrapolate this. If this happened there, we bet this is going to happen here, and let's build a solution that these people are going to need. That's perfect. I mean, congratulations to you on that. Gary, any questions?
Yeah, so I'm curious, in grocery, obviously online shopping has exploded over the past year with the pandemic. Are you seeing retailers, supermarket retailers, wanting to handle delivery themselves, or are you seeing a trend or movement to wanting to use different partners, like a DoorDash or a Postmates or Shipt or whoever to handle that last mile?
Yeah, that's a great question, right? And there's no right or wrong answer on what the strategy for a particular grocer or a retailer might be. Depending on your business, your scale, your density, your customer, your behavior, even your picking methodology, whether you use human picking versus machine picking or that kind of stuff. The answer will depend, and it could be that you're a grocer that only does use third party, then that's great, or you're a grocer that has made the decision to be fully in-house with your own fleet or contracted fleets, if you will, or like many of our customers, you're somebody who wants to utilize best of both worlds, right? You want to have some fixed capacity, but then use a dynamic orchestration platform like ours to also use third party, where okay, when you reach capacity here, then dynamically move the loads to other third party partners and stuff like that. So we see we see all flavors, in what a grocer wants to do, or what a retailer wants to do. More and more in grocery, also depends on your size and scale, but we're seeing we're involved with a lot of grocers that have like the mixed model where you have your own mans, but you also have third party as well. And the solution needs to be capable of handling everything.
Yeah.
Right. So interesting. So you come into the picture where a customer goes to the e-commerce site, picks an order, pays for it, and now the retailer has to fulfill that order. I mean, there's an in-store picking happening through whatever e-commerce platform, and once that order has been picked, it has to be delivered to the customer, and you take the handoff at that point. All right.
Yeah, actually, we play on both pre-order as well as post-order, right? Because if you're shopping on a grocer's website, how does the grocer know whether to even offer you same-day delivery or not? Right?
Got it.
Because BOPIS curbside is different. Hey, you want to drive 100 miles to pick up your order from my store? I don't care. Please do the drive, right? But in delivery, where you live matters, right? Can I deliver to you? Are you too far? Or can I deliver to you in an economical way? Right, to where I'm not breaking the bank. Yeah, maybe there's a provider who can deliver that order for $60, but does it make sense for me to take that order from a customer, right? So you need a lot of pre-order intelligence around eligibility right up front, even before an order is placed. So we have APIs that kind of support that logic on coverage, zoning, areas, cost, right, real time, on the API in 200 milliseconds, right, as the customer is shopping, right?
Got it.
So we do a lot of that pre-order stuff. Then even say we said yes and offer delivery, and they're checking out things like time slots, right? Do you want to offer like a 2-hour SLA or 4-hour SLA, but maybe in certain markets you want to be 1 hour, certain markets you want to be saying, hey, order by 2, get by 7. All of that slots come from our system as well. And we call them smart windows, because they got to take into account store opening close times, your labor capacity in the store, because you only have so much pick capacity, things like that. Your providers need a certain amount of lead time to be able to, you can't tell a provider at 4:59 that, hey, here's an order for 5 to 6. Go. What I mean? So our platform,
looks at all of those things.
Yeah, all of those things, even to surface those slots up, right, to where you can check out. So and then the customer checks out. So there's a lot of stuff happening pre-order intelligence, right, around delivery.
That's fantastic. So, yeah. So Gary, you had a question that you were asking.
No, go ahead.
So we've recently had conversations here on this podcast about the explosion of e-commerce, and it's kind of it's a double-edged sword, right? It's very exciting for a lot of retailers that online is growing, but it's also scary because it's the less profitable side of their business currently that they're in store. How does your solution kind of maybe help mitigate some of those things for the retailer? Where do you play, or is that a value proposition that you have on your end?
No, absolutely, right. So then we talk pre-order, but on the post-order side, obviously the big advantage of our solution is you can connect with multiple vendors, right? And they're like a lot of these awesome companies that we partner with, in fact, true fact, right? The aggregation of same day last mile gig was a delivery solution we mentioned when we first started, right? So we are the first ones who said, let's put, Deliv back then, Uber and, DoorDash, all of them together under one, so we have a lot of experience with this because we invented this, right? We now see a few companies kind of pivot into this, but, we are the OGs when it comes to, multi-vendor, last mile gig stuff, right? So the advantage of our solution is you can now get the combined coverages of multiple vendors, which is great. Why wouldn't you, right? There are a lot of good companies who build a lot of good capabilities around delivery. Why would you not tap into, more than one of them, right? If it, serves the purposes of your business. And then if you're combining them alongside your own fleet, now you can have very interesting strategies like, you know what, I have a couple of vans in the store. I'll only use them for next day orders where I can batch my run and have like one van deliver 10 orders. But if it's a same day order point to point, maybe I'll give that to third parties, right? Now you've started to optimize. So we see a usual curve where a retailer is trying to get started and I want to offer delivery on my native e-commerce. And once as you move along the maturity curve, then you start tweaking the operation, start optimizing it, right? Hey, even if I'm using third party, I want a rate shop. Give me who is cheapest at that time, right? Depending on the rates I have with them, right? Dynamically based on where Shekar lives, right? Is Uber cheaper or something, so they can, we don't configure these rules, but the retailers can configure whatever rules they want in our system and our system behaves that way to help them optimize.
So the retailer enters into some kind of agreement with the delivery company or multiple companies, but then everything is coordinated through your platform.
Absolutely. We are connected to everybody. So
Okay.
we have a connectivity solution, but even in the commercial contracting, the retailer can have direct contracts with the delivery providers and the vendors of the choice. Great, would recommend it. But we also have a solution. We call it Fox Delivery. Fox.
Right.
Where we have certain commercials with certain delivery providers, usually the big ones like DoorDash, Uber, Postmates, Skipkart, Point Pickup and stuff like that, where if you didn't have the appetite or don't have the time and bandwidth or the procurement capacity to strike 5 different contracts, we have rates that they bill us and we consolidate the rate in one paper. So we do both, for our customers.
Wow. So you become, in that scenario, sort of a one-stop shop delivery solution for the retailer.
Yeah. I guess a traffic cop of sorts, right? So you're basically directing the traffic of and configuring, giving them the controls of figuring out, okay, which solution to use for the last mile delivery. It's set up as rules, gets executed by your system. No, I think it's super smart and clearly an area that's growing like crazy as we see e-commerce grow. I can see the entire spectrum of supermarket retail requiring a solution like this, right? So it doesn't matter if you're a one store guy or 1,000 store guy. Ultimately, you want to be able to service your customers and need access to these resources.
Yeah. And a big part of our business is also not only supporting retailers directly and their e-commerce, but we also power other platforms that have other retailers on it as well. So for example, if you're a grocery e-commerce platform that has grocers on it, we are connected to the platform so that platform can offer delivery solutions. To all their customers out of the box, right? No special, just click the button and so on. So to give you some examples, if you guys know MI9 Thrive AI, we are out of the box with Thrive. So any Thrive customer anywhere in the world can turn on the solution and have our entire suite, at their disposal, right? We are out of the box with ShopperKit, which is a fulfillment app and a solution, right? So if all orders come to ShopperKit and then the delivery orders have to kind of now go for delivery, there's already a connection pre-made over there, right? We're talking to Mercatus, which is another great, front-end solution. So we power a lot of platforms as well. And these are just some grocery examples, but, we do it in the restaurant space. We power other shipping platforms like Pitney Bowes, if you've heard of them.
Yeah.
Pitney launched the same day solution, and that's all powered by delivery solutions, right? So the breadth of customers is pretty large, right?
Yeah. So, Manil, in a lot of markets, and I'll speak to just Denver here where I live, I think nearly every day I'm getting emails from, Postmates or, several plus different delivery solutions, Uber Eats, et cetera, trying to entice me to use them. Looking out a little ways, do you see all these companies being able to survive? Do you think we're going to have some consolidation in that delivery space? What do you see happening there?
That's a great question, and it kind of touches on a couple different aspects, right? It touches on marketplaces versus native solutions. It also touches on just consolidation in the last mile space in general, and I'll kind of talk to both of those, right? I think like in grocery as an example, the great marketplace solutions like Instacart, they ship. Now Uber is trying to make inroads in grocery. I don't think marketplace versus native will ever be mutually exclusive. I think both will exist as channels for retailers. I think marketplaces get you eyeballs that maybe your native e-commerce brand would not typically attract. So there's some value there, and it's worth paying the extra percent of cart for that value add, right, to get net new customers. So I think both options will exist. I think fulfillment and delivery more and more will be retailers are going to start owning it, themselves, right? And they're going to say, hey, I may have my own native e-commerce plugged at the top layer. I can have marketplaces plugged at the top layer like Instacart Ship. I may also have other platforms like Google. If you look at the latest Google Albertsons deal, right, where I'll surface my inventory straight at Google and have different heads of my e-commerce, but let all the orders come into me. I'll pick and pack them. I'll deliver them using a standardized format that I have, right? So I think that is probably the model that everybody's going to evolve to. So marketplaces will, definitely they're here to stay. But I think the role they play versus full stack versus, hey, just a demand channel, I think that's the shift that's probably going to happen on there. On the consolidation space, Gary, everything consolidates eventually, right? So look at shipping, right? For the most part, FedEx, UPS, trichotomy, and it took decades to get there, but it got there, right? I think last mile will also consolidate. Right now, what's happening is, we did see some companies go out of business. We saw somebody like Deliv go out of business, but we also saw Uber acquiring Postmates. But it's still a long ways off because there's also continuous disruption in last mile, right? Yeah. Drones, right, with Wing and Zip and these companies coming up. Autonomous, semi-autonomous. So think Nuro, think Tortoise. The other day somebody else pointed Choco. So within 1-2 miles, these small bots are great. They're better than humans. Where you're congested, where you're parking. So there's also constant disruption happening, from a technology standpoint, right? So I think we're not there yet, where it's going to be like, hey, it's FedEx versus UPS. I think all of this needs to play out a little bit more before it starts settling down.
Right. No, I mean, clearly, the e-commerce space, it's more than just getting on a website and clicking and adding items to your cart, right? There's just so many mechanics and logistics. So for a retailer, if you were to say, hey, if somebody were to come to you and say, hey, how do I make e-commerce? How do I increase my margins? First of all, how do I not lose money on e-commerce, right? And then how do I make money with e-commerce? Because the consumer shift is happening. And COVID has kind of just accelerated the whole consumer shift to online shopping that much faster, right? I think I've heard reports where it said that, we've kind of gotten to what was predicted in 5 years happened in the last 1 year in terms of e-commerce growth. So what would be the advice to a retailer to say, how do they think about e-commerce and margins and profitability?
Well, that's a pretty wide question. And our lens is it's a little bit narrow, right? Because margins on e-commerce can range anywhere from merchandising strategies to operational strategies to fulfillment, shipping, delivery. Is so much. There's margins that can be
Right.
extracted. And so our lens is kind of very limited to shipping, delivery, curbside focus, that kind of stuff, right?
I guess let me rephrase the question and say, from your perspective, maybe retailers vary. Who did they shift the cost of last mile delivery to the customer or the retailer?
Yeah. So from a last mile delivery standpoint, typically at least in the US, the consensus is we're not going to expose our customers to the variances in delivery cost, right? Because every delivery cost, every delivery, what it costs from a provider, it changes depending on, who you are, where you live, what market you're in, that kind of stuff, and depending on the provider, their rate card and all of that stuff. And the retailers, whether it's grocery or even other retail, they're not saying that I'm going to have bids on the website and say, hey, you know what, today it's $8.79, tomorrow is $10.21. No, right? So one thing that retailers are doing is the cost to the customer is constant. They pick a number, $7.99, $8.99, $9.99, whatever, right? The more sophisticated ones also demand shape on that. Like, hey, you want 2 hours, $9.99, but you want it tomorrow, $5.99, because maybe tomorrow I'll deploy a van, I can batch it, it's maybe cheaper for me. Today I'll just going to use third party, right? So, but the number is always constant. On the back end, there may be variances, and that's where a platform like ours comes into. Hey, either go rate shop, or hey, I have this preferred rate with this carrier, but that only triggers after I give them 1,000 deliveries. So make sure to give them 1,000 first. All of these strategies to cost save and optimize on the back end is something that our tool does, right? Typically, nobody looks to make money out of delivery, right? This is not a profit center, right? But if you can provide a delightful experience, you can have this channel as a well-run omni-channel or well-run channel in your omni-channel strategy, and if you're breaking even doing it, that's great.
Right.
I mean, this is never probably going to be a profit center for you guys, because the likes of Amazon keep driving the prices down and keep making it cheaper. You'll probably never win that battle, right? But can we get it to a point where we're breaking even, right? Or not sacrificing too much of our margins, right? Yeah. It is any day cheaper though than giving 20% to a marketplace. That is for sure, right?
Right. That's an interesting challenge for retailers to figure out, right? Because a lot of because the optics on delivery is interesting, right? What people might save on a free delivery, perceived free delivery, it may be made up in the cost of product, right? And but the optics are so big because the customer perceives free delivery as a higher value than a discount on the product sometimes, because for them, they're measuring it against time and effort that it takes to go and pick up the product, and they're willing to pay that amount, or they see that free. It's like, oh wow, I'm getting time and energy and focus back into my life, and that's worth a lot of money to me.
I think delivery, when we first started, just the way we have evolved, the early adopters for delivery were alcohol, like Total Wine, our very first customer, and grocery, right? These industries were, naturally more prone to delivery and stuff like that. I think pre-COVID, we started seeing some shift with, some retail jumping on. COVID definitely accelerated like a lot of the shift, right? Now we saw beauty and, electronics and all of these guys jumping on same day delivery. And now once, I wouldn't say COVID is behind us, but post-COVID world, I think people are realizing that it has to be a part of the omni-channel strategy. It just needs to be. It's now table stakes. COVID has done one thing for same-day delivery. It's like, it's table stakes to where now even apparel, which is I consider laggards in the same-day world, right? And we have now Vineyard Vines and Belk and Abercrombie and Fitch. 5 years ago, nobody would have even considered offering delivery. But now, the shift has happened. They're like, hey, if the customer is getting groceries delivered, food delivered, alcohol delivered, they're asking their retailer, why don't you have this option when I have every other option?
Right. I want it now.
Now, or at least give me the option, right? I may not want delivery every day, but the day that I'm busy, please have an option for
Yeah.
me, right?
Yeah.
Right, right. So what? So thinking, maybe in the future, right? Let's talk about predictions. You guys seem to be really good at predictions, by the way. So I'm going to take you up on this. So I know you mentioned technologies like drone delivery or automated delivery. Robots. I've seen little robots carrying grocery bags and delivering in residential areas, right? So I'm guessing that those will also want to integrate with a solution like yours, where you provide that capability. But what do you see as the market for some of those automated, autonomous delivery systems?
Great question, right? So we front end third-party delivery and shipping providers and in-house delivery. We also front end what we call IoT solutions, right? So, and that whole IoT spectrum includes things like lockers, right? Whether you're using a public locker solution like UPS Access Point, or you have native locker solutions installed in your stores, or or at different points in the city. I think we'll see a lot more like Europe, rise of these locker vendors where you have lockers as a service, and see these lockers everywhere, and some of them will probably be cold chain control, to make it fit for groceries as well, right? Things like that. We already see that in Canada, where you have lockers in train stations where you can shop your groceries on the app, get it delivered, and then you come home on the train, pick up your groceries from the locker, go home and stuff like that. So yes, I mean, lockers are going to be a big part of IoT. We also obviously front end things like autonomous delivery, drone delivery. Drones not commercially, fully out there yet, but we are tracking companies like Wing and Zipline, and some of these guys, to where once they become commercially reasonable, and ubiquitously deployed, it'll be a solution like ours that connects to it. Autonomous is another great world, and even in that, they're like 2 or 3 different types. There are fully autonomous vehicles, things like Nuro, but you also have things like Tortoise, which is basically a bot that has a camera that is being driven by remote operators sitting in a call center in Mexico. And they're actually seeing the road and steering which is sort of like a bridge between like fully autonomous and, and we have some of our customers starting to
Like drone pilots, right?
Yeah, like drone, but just driving the streets. And I think in a high, if you have a grocery store in a high dense area where you're surrounded by apartments and stuff like that, I mean, those are great options, right? Within the first mile, or a mile and a half and stuff like that. So we're front ending those solutions as well. And I'm seeing those accelerate more than drones for now, because drone has some FAA. I'm a pilot myself, instrument rated, all of that good stuff. So I can understand what it takes and what what controls they would want to have on drones. Because when I fly up at the DFW airspace, I cannot even sneeze without people not watching me, right? Every step is controlled, every step is directed, and things like that. So that they're going to want to have equal amount of control on drone traffic as well. The other thing is the way Amazon offers, hey, I'll go deliver in your garage, I'll go deliver in your house, because I'm now integrated to these lock solutions and things like that. So as these become more commercially available, it'll be a solution like ours, right? That's connecting to these items as well, right? If you think of a prolific retailer who's wanting to meet all of their customer needs, there's no one solution that's going to be an answer to all, right? Your answer is going to be dependent on customer preference, and it'll be many different solutions that need to be front-ended by something, right? You cannot keep doing one-to-one connections, and that's kind of where we come in, basically.
Right. No, fascinating. I was just thinking when I was looking at your website, nowadays we're in the age of all these really interesting company names, right? They come up with all these names of consonants and vowels and try to figure out the right name that sounds catchy and nice. Yours is such a refreshing name in that I know exactly what you do just by looking at it.
That was a lesson learned as well from our Lash delivery days, because like Lash and alcohol delivery, and we had to spend a lot of money. Brand building is not cheap, right? I mean, to build a brand, you got to spend a lot of money. And so again, lessons learned from the previous adventure was like, what? Let's just go with a name that just makes sense, and I don't have to spend money to educate customers on what we do, right? Delivery solutions, I mean, should speak to itself. Right. Although, now we have expanded to post-purchase and curbside. So we've kind of outgrown our name a little bit. So I don't know, maybe we should come up with like Fox something. I don't know. We're thinking about it right now.
Delivery Fox, right? Something
Yeah,
like
I don't know yet.
that.
I have this guy sitting on my desk.
I know, interesting. So, we also have several startups who've been on our show, fascinating ones in the food space. And you're probably the one of, in fact, a couple of weeks ago, we spoke to a white labeled warehousing solution for brands called White Box, which is, fascinating. I spoke to the CEO and they essentially help the startup brands, CPG brands, help with distribution, right? So, it could be an interesting conversation for you guys to talk to them because, you could power up their marketplace from a delivery perspective.
Actually, we already do. We have a couple of customers like that. So we have a company called Flex, FLEXE, with which is basically micro warehousing, in multiple locations in the country. But all their deliveries kind of flow through us. So we're already in that space a little bit. It's a great space to be in. So yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. So, so this is from an entrepreneur perspective. So if there are some entrepreneurs listening to this podcast and they want to enter the retail space, any suggestions, any learnings that you think that they should really that you can take from your experience? I'm sure there's a ton.
So we sell mostly to retailers, and that too. Our sweet spot is big enterprise retailers, right? So these are typically companies that are 500 million and up in revenue, right? $1 billion and up. And these are big companies, big retailers, right? Been around for a while. And we are in the B2B white label software space, right? One advice is nothing's fast in this space, right? Every deal, if you think it's going to take 2 months, please double or triple it. These are long sales cycles. I think the reward at the end of it is good because you have a customer like really vetted you out and you're doing something very deeply embedded in their stack for them and things like that. But the sales cycles are kind of long, and that's just the nature of how the retailer can buy, right? Even if I'm a big retailer and I said yes, I love you, I want you today, even that's going to take probably 3 months. So so just keep that at the back of your mind, right? In terms of when you think about like velocity of sales and growth and things like that.
But of course, the nature of your kind of company, Delivery Solutions, is also pretty sticky because once it's being used and it's being used extensively, there's a level of dependency that makes it nice for you as a business, right?
I wouldn't call it dependency. I'd say it's a mutually symbiotic relationship.
Yeah,
but
okay. I like that. Mutually symbiotic, yes.
but true fact, we've had zero churn. So ever since we started, there's not one retailer who started with us, and then within a year, I said, okay, thanks, we're going to go do something else. We have kept every customer we've ever had. Not saying that nobody will leave us in the future, but touch wood, so far we have been very sticky, with our customers, right? And we're constantly making the system better, adding value. And stuff.
Yeah, and clearly you're adding value, right? You're reducing one more pain point. You're mitigating some risk, and you're creating some level of consistency and dependability, right? That's one less thing for the retailer to worry about. You're taking care of it. That's fantastic. I think that's I heard from somebody who's talking about B2B SaaS. You got to be one of three. You either have to help the customer make money, lose less money, or mitigate risk, right? So if you're not doing any of those three things, you really can't be an effective B2B SaaS company, right? So you got to do one of those three things. So clearly you're in that space. It's been a fascinating conversation for me, Gary. Any questions before we kind of?
This is great. Thank you for sharing not only your background but what Delivery Solutions does. I think it's a great service to a lot of retailers. So just don't have the bandwidth, the resources to go figure all this out for themselves, right?
Right. So, Manil, if you had to do a 2-minute commercial for the retailers out there who are listening, what would you say Delivery Solutions offers?
Delivery Solutions offers solutions to help enable or enhance your same-day delivery, your BOPIS and curbside operations, your shipping operations, and tie it all with a consistent post-purchase experience to keep your customers informed, on these orders. So that's kind of what we do in the nutshell. Those are the 4 pillars that we work on.
Terrific. They got a great
Yes.
website. I just checked out Delivery Solutions, their website. You Google it, and it comes right up on top. And they got some very informative. They've got strong partnerships that they've built, a great ecosystem. So I want to congratulate you, Manil and Arshad. I know who's not on the show, but you guys are putting together something fantastic. And I'm really thankful that you guys gave about 45 minutes to get on with us on the Retail Perch. And you know what? You're going to get a follow-up email from Stephanie asking you for your address so she can ship you a mug with the Retail Perch mugs. There you go. Next time you can have the Fox in one hand and the Retail Perch in the other hand. And then we'll hopefully catch up soon. We'd love to have you back whenever it's the right time to do so. But thank you for your time. And
yeah, one thing I'll remind is deliverysolutions.co. A lot of not .com, but it's .co. But yeah, thanks. It's been an honor. Thank you. The questions were great. Thanks for having me on and kind of indulging me and allowing me to kind of share our point of view, because we see this industry from not only just grocery, but from other angles as well. So happy to kind of come.
No, I love that. I think there's a lot to learn, right? So I think retail, you see trends in one vertical in retail, and sometimes it spills over because ultimately you're changing customer expectation. And then it doesn't really matter whether you're a shoe store or a grocery store. Ultimately, they want the experience, right? So I think that's a great way to look at it. So anyway, folks, thank you so much for listening again to another amazing episode. I don't know how we keep coming up with these amazing guests, Gary. I think, we're doing something right. So, but clearly we're having fun. So me and Gary, of course, get up here and just have chats, and Stephanie does all the work of putting this podcast together and putting it out there. So I want to thank Stephanie Doherty again very much for this. But it's been a great show. Thank you again, Manil, for showing up here, and hopefully we made you feel welcome enough that you will come back one day, right? And talk to us again.
Awesome. Come back, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Great.
All right.
Thank you so much. Bye. Make sure to join us every Monday and connect with us at the Retail Perch on Instagram and Facebook.
And if you have any questions, feel free to email us at theretailperch@birdseye.com.
Until next time, this is Shekar.
And this is Gary signing off.